next point. Don't smoke crack.
That's good advice, LT, because you know what? This is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. It's Monday. What to talk about today? I want to talk about James Bradberry. I want to talk about the signing of Matt Garcia. I want to talk about John Mayer. I want to talk about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. I want to talk about a couple things. We're just going to riff today because this is kind of what we do sometimes. You know what's funny? I want to talk. I usually don't talk about, award show and stuff. I didn't even know the Oscars were on yesterday. But Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was just weird at best for the reason why he slapped her. And I understood because he was standing up for his wife, who has that hair loss disease, and she's made videos about shaving her head and doing everything. It wasn't even that bad of a joke. Will even laughed at it before he went up and slapped him. And of course, if you take a look at Jada Pickett, she was none too happy about that joke. But I just laugh internally because of the fact that she has a podcast where she basically goes on and talks about sleeping with other guys that are not her husband, having a living boyfriend in at one point in time. And when Chris Rock basically said at the end, there were so many other things he could have said. It was just kind of funny to me that he got upset and slapped him for that. But let's talk about the New York Giants. The New York Giants have signed the 30-year-old Max Garcia. Why don't call him Matt? I got no freaking clue. It's Max Garcia. He started 52 games out of 93 possible regular season games. 30 years old. He's been primary played both the left guard and right guard position in his 7-year career, which spanned both the Denver Broncos and the Arizona Cardinals. He played center a little bit for Arizona for the first time last year. He had something like 297 snaps out of possible 864 snaps at that spot. He started 11 games in 2021. And I love it because if you have the people that look at the venerable Pro Football Focus, first of all, people say, what a great signing. And then they won't look at the Then these are the same people who always quote Pro Football Focus. Now look at it and go, I'm not going to worry about that because his ranking or grade for Pro Football Focus was 54.3. Yeah, I mean, that's a little low. But he comes into the group of John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky, Douglas, who we signed, Matt, the kid out, the other Matt now. We're going to call him the other Matt. We have Matt from Connecticut, and we have the other Matt from Atlanta. And they also re-signed Corey Cunningham. So they're building their offensive line slowly but surely. It's interesting because you probably have a line of like Andrew Thomas, Shane Lemieux, or Garcia will probably be on the left tackle. You have Feliciano or Garcia. Well, you'll have Feliciano at center. And you'll have Glowinski at right tackle. And then you can either have the other Matt from Atlanta or Cunningham or Matt from Connecticut, if healthy, and then have reserves of like Douglas and Wes Martin. Well, you thought last year's offensive line's bad. Good luck with this one. And I love the people on Twitter that were talking to me yesterday, and they were going, well, you need to fix the offensive line before you get yourself a quarterback. Yeah, I'm glad Cincinnati probably didn't listen to that philosophy. Because their offensive line was probably just as bad, if not worse, than the Giants, and they made a Super Bowl run. Because you want to know why? Drum roll, please. They had a quarterback.
That's what she said.
Oh, I meant to go. Hey-oh. So let's hopefully, like I said, we're just filling in pieces. It's all part of, like I said, the Joe Shane PR move, or nothing he can do is wrong right now for the Giant fans, because of the fact that even the owner has come out and said that, we're probably going to be bad. He even admitted at the conference over in Florida that the Giants might not be very good in 2022. Yeah, they might not be. He basically said that was a lot of losing a season ago. Well, it was losing seasons ago. But the problem is there's a lot of losing coming up this year. As much as people want to sit there and unrealistically make expectations on this team, this roster is even more devoid of talent right now than it was last year, and they're doing that because of the fact that they're trying to build into 2023. So, he basically defended what the Giants are doing. He says, we didn't have a lot of cap space, so there wasn't much really going on in the real active free agency market for us. And it's true. There wasn't any, so it doesn't, and then he came out and says, I don't think it's a very high bar to improve on last year. I think it's going to be more. I do not envy the Dable. That's why I've been giving Dable so much leeway. And the same thing with Shane, because they are coming in with the inevitable task of doing what they need to do. And then Mara came out and said, but I know those words are Shaw right now until we actually start playing. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is, Mr. Mara. It is what it is. It is what it is, John. And then I love it because a couple months back, he admitted or said, the Giants did everything to screw Daniel Jones up. I think Daniel Jones had a little bit to do about those things himself, especially the kid's got a 12-25 record. And then I love it because he says, shown enough that he has the right pieces around him. And when they're relatively healthy, he has enough talent to make us believe we can win with him. You got to help him become a good player, become a better player, and hopefully we'll do that this year. When your quarterback needs to have a perfect pocket, 10-yard separation for the wide receiver, clear passing lanes, the temperature at exactly 72 degrees with 0 wind, the moon in the north corridor, the end of the summer or winter equinox, and everything in ideal conditions to win, does that really make him your starting quarterback? I'm going to have to say no. Because even people on bad teams, Malik Willis, show they're above their talent. I'm just throwing that out there. I also want to talk about James Bradberry. Yeah, the Giants are going to trade James Bradberry. Can we stop with all this tweets and shit that the Giants are going to trade James Bradberry? No, bull dookie. Of course they are. They need to save the $12.1 million. They got a 16 point something million nut for their rookie cap pool. They need to save the money, and they're also going to need to get some picks for him. They're just not going to be in a hurry to do it. They've already guaranteed $2 million of his salary. They're waiting for the right deal, and they're waiting to make sure they're getting the right opportunity to move him at the right time. The only move I've questioned about Deshane is the Logan Ryan move, but I think that is just more of clearing the locker room. He could have used one of his 2 post-June 1st cuts. You can cut somebody now post-June 1st. You could do that. You can do that twice before June 1st in the NFL. You can do that twice. So he could have used one of those moves to move some of that salary around, but he wouldn't have saved the $3 million into next season. I understand what he's doing. He's building his nest egg for 2023 because 2022 the cap doesn't matter. It's a living, breathing thing. It doesn't matter. I love stupid people. I wouldn't have a show if there wasn't stupid people. But, they're going to move him. But they're going to move him at the right time, which will hopefully allow them to generate the cap savings they need to maybe work forward to see. There are going to be some, I'm going to tell you right now, there are going to be some low-hanging free agent fruit after the draft. There are going to be guys who have talent, who are going to be looking for barely above minimum veteran contracts. And to me, Shane is playing it smart because you know what? You let all the fruit shake off the tree and you sit there and you go back to the tree to see if there's any fruit left. And I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some interesting free agents available after this draft. And I think that Shane is smart enough. And like I said, I'm giving Shane all the credit in the world. I tried to give Gettleman the benefit of the doubt. That didn't work out. But I think Shane is smart enough to understand that this, and I've said this even with Gettleman. This is a long haul. Last year we did something stupid, which I so eloquently called out repeatedly, by pushing all of our chips into the table and saying we're going to make a playoff run. And I said to this a million times that if it does not work, it is going to be disastrous and it's going to wreck 2022, which it did. So now what we need to focus on is we need to understand that we are building something for 2023. I'm going to tell you right now, Shane is not going to go out and overly spend in 2023 because he's already seen the detriment and the damage that can cause an organization. What I think he is going to do is, I think he's going to play it smart. I think he's going to play it safe. I think he's going to do like they did in Buffalo. They're going to play through the draft. They're going to work through the draft. And then we're going to move forward that way. And one of the smart things to do right now is to look at James Bradberry. And so trading or cutting Bradberry prior to June 1st would save the Giants 10.1 against the cap. As a post-June 1st designation, it would save you 11.5. And we're going to decline that unknown caller. We're going to decline it. It was probably the Giants calling me up asking for advice. But I said, no, I'm not going to give you advice. I can't do that.
Think you going to get away with it? Not up in here.
Not up in here.
No advice for you. I'm just joking. But like I said, moving on him past post June 1st designation would save him 11.5. So, you know, I mean, they're going to buy their time. They're going to make the right deal, and they're going to try to get some assets. You hear about Kansas City. You hear about Indianapolis. You hear about Buffalo. One of the teams I keep thinking about is the Texans. The Texans have 11 draft choices. They have 5 between 37 and 108. So that would give the Giants, and like I said, you could probably get an asset in this year. To me, this year's draft is pretty deep in defensive line and offensive line. And Shane has proven the ability to find some gems in the offensive line in the later rounds. I know he wasn't the one making the direct picks, but he was also the one finding the guys and building the draft board. So we got to give him hope and credit in reference to that. What he's doing in free agency is nothing sexy. There's nothing sexy about it. But we all knew, or some of us knew, this is what was going to happen. So we just need to focus on watching him rebuild the line, hopefully move forward, and kind of go from there. And kind of work from there. We do have a Peppers update. I'm a Pepper. He's a Pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a Pepper too? There is talk that Peppers may go to New England. I heard from a friend that Peppers, was a big Judge fan, or still is a Judge fan. They might be a reunion in the old in Boston. Who knows? Got a big stream on Tuesday with the Dahmer. Talking everything Giants, talking everything sports. Don't forget to go and download the online Big Blue app for free. It's at the Google Play Store. We will get it up on the Apple Play Store as soon as possible. But like I said, we're just there is a cost associated for doing this. So I'm shaning it. I am trying to make sure that we're spending the money in the right places. And right now we are still building the app for the Apple Play Store. Building an app for an Apple phone is a lot more difficult than building it for a Google device or a whatever device it's called. But so, we'll have that up going to 2. Don't forget, you can take a visit at the online Big Blue website at onlinebigbblue.com, where you can also find all Giant informations, podcasts, and everything else. We're going to have the new podcast starting up in a couple of weeks. We're right now in the process of interviewing people to be the co-host. That podcast is going to be 312-in-1, the 2022 Giants season. And I got another podcast coming up around the corner. It's going to be not Giant related. It's going to be sport related. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit more next week. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of interesting. And like I said, it's going to be like this season. There's going to be some heartbreak. There's going to be some anger. There's going to be some joy. But you know what? The 2022 Giants are going to play. And hopefully we can be competitive. And like I said, we win 5 games, I'll be happy. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could maybe subscribe, if you can ring that bell, you think it means, that'd be awesome.